Hey SAS users, it's Allison and Al. We're back again to give you a little more information about SAS. One of the most popular requests we get as far as guidance tutorials or questions is about, you guessed it, Google Sheets. So we're here to finally talk to you about Google Sheets. What we'd like to do is kind of just walk you through the basics of the process. Say you've never touched Google Sheets before within SAS, you don't even know how to use it. We're here to kind of guide you through that, then really show you how you would get to use it on a regular basis. What we will probably do is create a more advanced video as well, because we know there's a lot of you that do use and export to Google Sheets already. But there's so much more you can actually do in the Sheets, which Al has obviously referenced on the Facebook group, but certainly warrants more attention as more people are, like I said, asking for help with Google Sheets. So, Al, any philosophical thoughts about Google Sheets and SAS?
There's pretty a few thoughts about it, but what I'll try and do in this video is try and keep it fairly short, get straight to the point and just explain how to set up a basic sheet and what you need to do. Like I said, we'll do another video later on with some more advanced topics.
So for those of you that might not know, Google Sheets is Google's version of Excel, shall we call it, is Google's spreadsheet program.
So like with a spreadsheet, spreadsheets are great when you're working with big data. One of the ways many Amazon sellers use them is to create like a buying list or like sort of a sourcing list of whenever you sort of buy your stock, you'll make a record of it on the sheet for future reference, and when you can see your profits and see all your stats and etc. So what I will do now is walk you through how we actually get these set up in SAS. So first thing we need to do, in the SAS web app here, you've got the Sheets menu at the top. So if you drop that down, the first option you see is Setup. So what we do, you go into sort of the setup, and what it's asking us here is you need to link it to your Google account. So I think majority of internet users nowadays will have a Google account, and you do need one to use Google Sheets. So if you haven't got a Google account, head over to Google and set one up.
Yeah, and for those that might not have one, you don't have to use Gmail or anything like that if you want to. But it is just strictly setting up a Google account. You'd be able to use other Google functionalities as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably a bit beyond this tutorial to go into setting up your Google account. I'm just going to assume you've got one set up.
Hey, Google it if you're looking for how to do it.
So the first stage is we've got to sort of connect SAS to your Google account. So what we do here, we follow the link. This takes us over to sort of choose which accounts you want to connect. You can have more than one Google account. So I've got two accounts here. I'm going to sort of connect it to my second one. So I just select that one. Now Google is now asking us for permission for SellerAmp to access their account, to access this account. What we go for is the minimum permission possible. Like we don't want access to everything on your account. All we want to be able to do is to create a sheet for SAS to use and export to that sheet. So what we do now is click on Allow. Then Google does all sorts of pokey stuff in the background and basically creates a secure connection between SAS and your Google account. So now that the connection has been made.
Quick question, can I ask you a question, Al, while you're there? Something that we get questions about actually is, will you ever have to reconnect the account? Can it disconnect itself?
You shouldn't have to, no. If you do need to reconnect, we've got the Reconnect Google account button here, which will take you through the process. Normally, once you've made your connection, that's it.
Okay.
So once we've successfully connected to your Google account, we actually create a dummy sheet straight away. So we've got a SAS buy sheet has been created now on that Google account. So you can see we've got like three buttons here. We've got Edit, Open, and Remove. Like Remove is disabled because you can't, as there's only one, you can't remove it. Open will actually open the sheet in Google Sheets, and Edit will let you edit your settings in SAS for that sheet. So what I'll do first is open the sheet. So I just click on open. All that does, it opens the spreadsheets that we've created in your Google Sheets account. So at the moment, it's a blank spreadsheet. So if I now go back into SAS and we will edit this sheet. So what we can see here, we've got the title, like to start with, the titles are the same. Like the title in SAS is a SAS buy sheet, and the spreadsheet that we created is also a SAS buy sheet. Like you can change the names of these. Now the sheet ID, you should just leave blank. I'll explain a little bit what that is for, but like the spreadsheet ID is the ID of the actual spreadsheet. And this is one of those sort of confusing things with them Google Sheets, is you've got a spreadsheet ID and you've got a sheet ID. The spreadsheet ID is like Google's internal ID for a spreadsheet that you've created. And the sheet ID is when you've got separate tabs on the spreadsheet.
I think to kind of tie it back to people who are familiar with Excel, the spreadsheet ID is essentially your workbook ID. And then your sheet ID is your individual sheet ID within the workbook.
Yeah.
So without that spreadsheet ID, SAS and Google won't be able to talk to each other. They're not going to understand where you want the data to go. So it's important that's why that spreadsheet ID is automatically generated.
And so on the other side of the screen, you can see the field mappings. So these are the fields that we will export to the spreadsheet when you click export.
Okay. So as they're doing SAS analysis, looking at all the information on the product that they're looking at, they would have the ability to export these specific fields or the fields that they choose to the spreadsheet. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'll quickly do now, if I go back to the spreadsheet, you can see it's blank. Go back to SAS. We've got this button here, the test and write headers. What that does, it exports these headers for the field mappings. So I'll just click on this one now. That will export those headers to that spreadsheet. So if I go back to the spreadsheet, you can see now we have the headers at the top of the spreadsheet.
Okay. And if they should change their headers in the future, if they want to add a category, delete a category, you recommend that they rewrite those headers again?
Yeah, because what we'll do, if I just add another field at the bottom, with this one, we'll just do the Amazon, the image. Now, if I test and write headers again, if I go back to the spreadsheet, you can see now we've got the headers with the extra image column at the end there. And you can delete these and start again if you want to.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out that it's obviously not going to, if you add a new column in, it's not going to go back and get that data from products that you've already exported. It can only work from this point forward, but it's worth pointing out.
Yeah, it's worth spending a bit of time initially getting your spreadsheet set up with the fields that you're most interested in, and then sort of exporting like that. But you can go back and edit it. But like Alison said, things you've already exported, it won't export again those things. So what I will do, if I just open SAS in another tab, I'll do a search so we've got a product available. I'm not going to do Lego, I'm going to do Star Wars, just to be a bit different. So
does nobody ever search
Star Wars search? Okay, I'll see. We'll get Baby Yoda in there. Okay, we've got a lot of SAS information here that we don't really need all this information. All we're looking at the moment is the Google Sheets one. So what we need to do before we do the export, if I go back to here, is we'll just save this sheet. So now we've saved it, we've saved the SAS settings for that sheet. So now if we just click on the export next to the sort of Google Sheets title, if I go back to that Google Sheet, we will see this item has been sort of exported. So when you set up your sheet, what you might want to do is resize your columns or rows. So what sort of works for you? All right. I won't go into a full how to do all these different things in
Yeah, but I
sheets.
think it's good to know that they will remain the size that you leave them. So yeah, like Al said, make it comfortable so you can see what you need to see on the spreadsheet.
Yeah. So what I'll do with this sheet now, I'll just delete everything out of it, but the connection is still there. The sheet is still being created. So I go back to my Google Sheet setup in SAS. If I click on Edit, what we'll do now is we'll just make this sheet a little bit more friendly for how we would like it. So we'll have the export date first. Like I like images, so we'll put the image next. So we did the image here. We've got the move button on the side, so you can actually quickly move the fields around to where you want it to be. So I'll put this in column B. Now I've got the product name, I've got the ASIN, I've got the Amazon URL, we've got, say, cost and sale price. Then if you wanted to add any more fields, you just go to the bottom drop down, and this is a full list of all the different fields in SAS that you can export.
Wow.
And even at the bottom, the more advanced option, you can actually export formulas based on the previous fields.
That sounds like something for the next video.
Yeah, I won't do formulas now, but you can do anything with a formula. So with this one, we'll add in tags at the end. And once you've added one in at the end, we get another empty one automatically is below it. So we can change that. Let's just change that to our last note. I'll do one more. So the FBA fee. And like the FBA fee, we won't have that at the end. Let's move the FBA fee up. So it's between the cost and the sale price. So going back to the sheet is still blank as we deleted it before. We'll do a test and write headers. We can see the new headers. So go back to the sheet, and there these headers are. I'll resize some of these columns. So product names going to need a bit more size. The image doesn't need to be as wide. And then if you go back to the sheet setup, click on save. So the sheet is saved. So we go back to the results page from the Baby Yoda we did earlier. If you click on export again, go back to the sheet, and you can see it's now exported. We've got the images over here. We've got the extra fields. We've got tags and last notes. We didn't actually put in any tags or last notes. Yeah. But you've got the FBA fees being exported as well now.
And if they have more than one sheet within the panel, they'll have their choice as to which sheet to export it to. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the initial setup, I was just looking at doing like when there's only one, when you've only got one spreadsheet set up, it will just appear here as a one export button, and that's it. It'll export to that one sheet. Actually, whilst I'm here, if I just apply a tag and we'll add a note, we'll do test export sheet. I'll save that note. So if we export it again now, we go back to the sheet, you'll see it's the same item. So we've exported the item again, but now you've got the extra information where you've got the star tag in there, and you've got a last note in there as well.
That's a good example to point out that if you do export it again, it won't add to the previous line item. If you've exported it previously, it's just going to give you a new line.
Yeah, it won't edit the previous item. It will always append to the bottom of the list.
Yeah. Okay.
So then, as Alison was saying, you can have more than one sheet. So what I will do, if I go back to my connection, my sort of sheets setup, I just click on new sheet. This will create a new sort of Google sheet for me. And what it actually does, it remembers the field mappings that you set last time, just so you don't have to repeat them.
That's good.
And then you can edit them to make them different to your previous one, but it will always default to whatever your mappings were that you saved last. And again, so this is by default, it's called SAS by Sheet 2. So if I open this one in Sheets, it should be blank. So that's a new spreadsheet, which is blank. So we've got your first SAS buy sheet there, the items we've exported to. So what I will do now, if I do another search, this time we'll do Star Trek. I will admit I'm a Star Wars fan rather than a Trekkie. The Star Trek communicator. We'll add a quick note into this one. Boo, Star Trek. And spelt incorrectly. But as you can see above it here now, the Google Sheets, it's shrunk up, so I'll just click this to expand it. You've actually now got two buttons. You've got the SAS buy sheet, which is the first one that we created, and SAS buy sheet 2, which is the second one. So if I'll do an export to SAS buy sheets, the first one, and I'll actually do the second one at the same time. So now if I go back to our first buy sheet, you can see we've got the sort of Star Trek communicator at the bottom here. You've got the last note in. Now if I go to the second sort of buy sheet that we created, like we didn't resize that one, we didn't export headers to that one, but it's got the same information in there. Okay. Like, so the times you might want to have multiple sheets is it could be if you've got multiple VAs, you want VAs to export to different sheets to each other. As you can very quickly create new sheets in SAS, it's just a click of a button to create a new sheet. You might want to create a temporary sheet, saying there's a 3-for-2 sale on Argos. You want to export all those items that you're looking at. You might just create a temporary sheet for that purpose.
Okay, similar to, I would liken it to tags. Use it like you use tags. Create different sheets for your different sources, for your different VAs, for different holidays. Whatever it might be. Create as many sheets as you need.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things you can do. Like at some point, I will go into how you can create shipments using sheets as well, but that's a much more advanced topic.
Okay, all right.
So that's basically it with these sort of sheets to start with. If I just go back, let's say that one. So in here you can see we've got the sort of two sheets. So if I go into the SAS buy sheet 2, like this, the title, that is what is displayed on the button. So with this one, we can call it the Trekkie sheet. We'll just call it Trekkie. We'll just save that one away. Now what you'll find is, like the spreadsheet name is independent of the name in SAS. Like when we first create the spreadsheets, they'll be the same, but you can call them both different things. So you want to make sure you keep the names so they tally and you understand what they are.
Yeah, for your own benefit, for their own benefit.
Yeah, but you can always go into SAS, click open, and that will open the correct sheet for you. So if you forget which one's which, just go in here, click open, and I'll open the sheet for you.
Okay, good thing to know. So yeah, just make sure you know what your sheets are. I guess it's safe to say.
Yeah, and you can also, like with your sheet, you can also access them directly. If I just refresh this page, with a sheet, you can access them directly from the Sheets menu.
Okay.
So from a drop down, once you've set them up, so we've got our Trekkie sheets that we just did. That would clicking here, that will open our Trekkie sheet. So it's a really quick and easy way to get to your sort of Google Sheets that you've set up.
Obviously, setup all occurs in the web app as you're seeing on screen, but the Google Sheets panel appears in the extension and the mobile app as well.
You set up the connection initially using the web app, but once they're set up, you can use the Google Sheets in the extension or the mobile app. And you can also edit the sheets in the extension or the mobile app. Like it's only creating the first connection that we need to do it in the web app. Once your connection's done, you can create and edit sheets in any of the SaaS platforms.
So really, in that respect, it does become a perfect tool for RA or OA as long as you have that sheet. You create the sheet, make that connection, then create the sheet, and just start exporting things into that specific sheet as you're going around and scanning in a store or as you're working the extension and trying to find things online.
Yeah.
Any other wisdom you'd like to impart upon these folks before we sign off?
I think initially that's probably enough just to get you to get you started and get you up and running with your own sheets.
Yeah, that was really the point. And certainly if anybody has any questions about this or beyond this, definitely support@selleramp.com. Please let us know. We will work on a more advanced video, like we said, that'll bring in more features. Some of you might not have any interest in it, but we know there's some people out there that are very, very good on their spreadsheets and would like to understand how they can utilize it more in their business. So we will work on that video, we promise.
Actually, one thing that would be useful for the advanced video, if you do have any questions, leave a comment on this video and we'll make sure they're all covered in a more advanced video.
Yeah, if you've seen a feature, a spreadsheet feature, whether it's in your sourcing or in something else that you think would be really handy to have, definitely let us know. And we will talk to you about it. We will teach you about it, that type of thing. So
the sort of things that we'll do in the advanced video is show you how you can actually export a keeper graph or create a keeper graph in your spreadsheet, how to do links to other sites from within the spreadsheet. There's all sorts of things you can
really do. Powerful. As powerful as we know a spreadsheet can be, we can capture, we can harness all of that within SAS. So, okay, great. Thanks for your time, everybody. Until next time, enjoy your sourcing. Happy sourcing, everybody. And we'll see you soon.